with Joe Leonardo and Alexander Turbin. We're comic book guys from coast to coast, and today we're looking at a couple of really cool artists, like guys that everybody loves and everybody enjoys and everybody admires. On my end, we're looking at Greg Capulo, the awesome sort of, I guess, what would you call him? He's the underling of Todd McFarlane, who sort of brought on board at Spawn at that real tender age when Todd McFarlane was just wanting to hand it off to someone else and just take over the writing things, and he really blossomed and became somebody incredible. And on Alex's end, we're looking at who had on your end, Alex?
Sam Kieth, the awesome Sam Kieth.
Yeah, the amazing Sam Kieth, creator of the Max, the incredible run on Wolverine, the Sandman. You know, just like a constantly, like, just everybody loves Sam Kieth, and one of those guys that just like is so remarkable in his complete, unique, and totally original approach to the comic book stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely super original. One of those. I would say there's only maybe 10 to 15 super original comic book artists, and he's definitely one of them.
I think so too. Like he's a little influenced by the older guys. I mean, his definitely roots are in someone like Bernie Wrightson and like Frank Frazetta and that kind of thing.
You can definitely see his influences, but then he just like goes crazy.
Yeah, and even like Eisner, you know what I mean? Like these little cartoon guys like this, you know what I mean? Like total like Will Eisner.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, before we get too far on that, we're gonna go ahead and start off on what I feel like Greg Capullo is probably most well known for at this point in his career, which is the Batman. And this is
I'm not I don't really know a lot of Greg Capullo. I've actually watched his videos, his YouTube videos and stuff where he's like drawing and stuff, and that's cool, but I don't think I have any Batman Capullo. He did Spawn, right?
Yeah, he started off on Spawn. One, I believe he did, like, probably worked on it for close to a decade or something like that, I want to say. You know what I mean? On and off, at least did at least a 3 or 4 like 5-year run, like some seriously long stuff.
Yeah. Do you know when he started on Spawn?
I mean, I don't have it in my head, but I do have I have every single issue. I want to say I know that 20? Early on he did a mini series, or not a mini series, but he did a short run before he took over completely.
He did.
McFarlane was working on it, and then there's a short stop, and it's where the gosh, what's the heck is the name of that guy? The Anti-Spawn, he's got a name.
What's up, GTO? Anti-Spawn.
Hey, it's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool to see you guys come and hang out. Our feed is definitely for comic book guys and comic book creators. And if you're a comic book creator and you have a comic book, and if you'd like to shout out anything you're selling and stuff on the online thing, like, absolutely do that. Let everybody know about your stuff. Let us know what's going on with you and what you're creating.
Yeah, definitely. But we always like to look at new stuff.
Yeah, I know he was the guy that did the first drawings of the Anti-Spawn, and it's this little short run where Spawn meets what's the Houdini? Yeah, he goes back in time and meets Houdini.
Oh, yes.
And they have this little adventure together, and it's not particularly great, right? But you can see the potential of it. Like,
you mean writing wise or art wise? Writing wise or art wise? Yeah. Cool.
Let's take a look.
Hold
on.
Is that a trade paperback, or is that
this is a trade paperback.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
just what do you call it? It's a collection,
Is that low?
No, this is the first 50 issues. So I don't actually think Capulo comes on board in a serious style until later on. But he definitely has that mini series in here, I might not be able
No, you're not talking about the clown there, are you?
No.
Yeah,
no,
GTO,
no.
that's Spawn. Yeah, because McFarlane did
okay, this is it right here. You can tell because the art all of a sudden shifts. You know what I mean? Like, here's Todd McFarlane, right?
That's McFarlane.
And then, boom, and then we go to this thing, which is like super like Craig Capullo, looking. This is him like in his early stuff or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Trying to be Todd McFarlane.
or yeah, just trying to do the whole uh like Jim Lee kind of thing. But I mean, still very cool, like
It is very good. I do think that he's trying to emulate. I think he's trying to emulate McFarlane, but I think he inherently has a Jim Lee style.
yeah,
So
it's got that West Coast kind of.
I think at the time they're kind of conflicting a little bit.
Oh, it definitely is. You could tell he's not. He doesn't. What I mean, he's figuring things out. It's still very
Yeah,
early, or
yeah,
whatever. And like, see, here he is doing the McFarlane cape or whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Which kind of doesn't work that great for him. It's like it's okay, but you can tell it's a little tacked on to his style or
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
what he's
yeah,
always been good at is these character faces like this thing right here. You know what I mean? Like he's always been
yeah,
really good at doing those like at doing like Alfred and doing, what I mean, like Jim Gordon and that kind of thing. But you could
yeah.
see, how funky this early stuff is, and like Spawn with the like with the nose still. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
It's like so weird. Like anytime you see Spawn with the nose,
yeah, yeah. Because he's supposed to have like a rotting nose, right?
yeah, well, yeah, like usually it's gone because dead people, yeah, the nose falls
Yeah,
off or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, dude, like yeah, GTO Sweat, like the Spawn movie was a lot of fun. Back in the day, I thought it was so
Yeah,
cool. I mean, sadly it
I
doesn't
liked it
hold up
too.
very well, but like it was a lot of fun back in the day. But not to spend too much time on it, but that's like some real classic Capullo looking stuff right there.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
really, you know,
He's really using his black spotting really nicely.
yeah, and all that like underlighting of the shape and thing that he does or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he does this whole little mini series over there. Well, it's not even a mini series. I keep calling it that, but that's not exactly
Oh,
what it is. You know what I mean?
it's
It's
a
just like,
series inside Spawn. You mean?
yeah, it's just a short run, on this
Yeah,
one particular story. And then when that story arc ends, it's back to Todd McFarlane again for like another so many issues or wherever, and he finishes up
yeah,
that run of 50 before Capulo takes over completely. But
yeah, yeah.
you can see how much more refined his stuff is now at this point, over here. You know what I mean? He's just like
The,
stick.
can you go back and see who does the inks and colors and all that stuff?
Let's see. We're looking at
But-
Jonathan Glapian as the inker
Oh yeah.
and FCO colorist. So I don't know who that is.
I wonder if he inked his Spawn original Spawn stuff that he did.
I'm pretty sure he did. The thing is that nobody ever inks an artist probably is better than the artist
Himself.
inks themselves.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I mean, there
Wiley,
might be.
he probably did lose his nose fighting Batman.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, especially actually he literally does lose it. I mean, now that you say that out loud, that is exactly where he
Is
loses
it?
his nose because it ends with him taking a batarang to the face, like the
You mean
last shot.
the Batman Spawn
Like in
crossover?
Batman Spawn
So
crossover, the very last shot on the back page is like him getting a batarang to the face, and that's why later on Spawn has those like football laces that go down the middle of his face.
so there's two. Isn't there a Batman Spawn and also a Spawn Batman?
Well, yeah, there's a DC version, and then there's the Image version. So like DC
Right,
got to
right,
write and release one, and then Image got to write and release one.
right,
But
right. Are they
the
the same?
DC
Are they the
one,
same story and artists and everything, or is it
no,
different?
no, no, the DC one sucks. I mean, it's kind of the same
Yeah,
story essentially, just but like I mean, there really isn't much of a story, and honestly, I'd have to go back and read it to even have the slightest idea of what the story
yeah,
was in that thing. But I have both of them. I definitely have both of them. But
yeah,
this one had a pretty good story.
yeah.
Like Court of Owls is pretty dope. Like I mean, it has some really weak points in the story that are kind of like, are like, I mean, you have to remember it's a comic and these are for, a young audience to an adult audience. But when it comes to storytelling, you should always just solid storytelling stuff, and not be pulling out things out of a bag that make no sense at all. And I remember when I was reading this, I loved that Batman and the Joker were teaming up to get out of Arkham or whatever. And I thought what was happening was that Batman was breaking the Joker out because he needed him to, deal with some maniac or something. And I thought that was a cool idea. I was like, oh, that's dope. But later on, you find out that it's not really the Joker. It's just like Robin wearing like this sort of like Mission Impossible mask or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right.
And I was like, like that's kind of lame. So like, what now? Where's the Joker? So he's not in Arkham. Like he's just running loose, and everybody in Arkham, what they stuck Robin in? You know what I mean? Or they,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like what? Robin sits in there for a month or something, before he has to break out and pretend to be, the Joker.
Right.
Hey, what's going on, Willie Draws? I'm sorry I didn't see you there, but I just want to stop and say hi real fast. But this is a rad story. It's like sort of like I think it was the writer trying to create like a new iconic villain or whatever, and it's approaching it like
Yeah.
sort of like Batman, like just feels so confident about how he knows everything about Gotham. And then, the Court of Owls ends up being this very mysterious sort of organization of people that have been there at the foundation of the city's creation. You know what I mean? So they're there long
Yeah.
before Batman or his father or his family line. And they're sort of like, like sort of creating the statement to Batman that, Gotham is the place that you can never really own or never really know completely, and that as much as he feels confident, that he is a force to be reckoned with in the city, that he doesn't take into, everything into consideration, and he doesn't know everything that's really happening. And there's this sort of like category of Illuminati-esque ultra rich
Yeah.
people that are, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
controlling the destinies of so many people in the city. And this is essentially the story arc where he becomes aware of this, sort of clandestine group of dudes that are, manipulating all of society. It's cool.
It's
It's a
tough.
pretty good story.
It's tough to introduce new villains. It's
It
harder to
is.
introduce new villains than new good guys.
And this is a
Really.
tricky thing too, because it's not a villain. You know what I mean? It
Right.
is like I said,
Right.
it's a sort of like Illuminati, sort of like, big crowd of, people like sort of like Spectre from freaking James Bond or something like that, like,
Yeah.
but it has a really cool story. It's kind of like,
That's an awesome page.
yeah, it's kind of like you can see like he's looking into the like it's this guy.
Looking through from the wound.
Yeah, it's this guy back here. Let's see, where's that? It's this guy right here, and he's gotten,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean, and they're doing the autopsy on him or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Garth Ennis does that in Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe. Only Punisher is ripping out somebody's teeth, so he shows the camera angle from inside his mouth. Did you ever
I
read
think
that?
that's always that really cool. Like, actually, you've seen that kind of thing in films before or whatever. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh
some
yeah.
guy will be at the dentist, and then he opens up to and then the camera angle is like the dentist looking into the mouth from the mouth or whatever or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's always interesting when because they have to build like big like fake pieces to get those kind of shots. You know what I mean? Like you have to build a big, huge box with all the fake blood
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and all
It's
that.
it's
You know
in,
what I mean? To
it's
set the camera up
interesting.
in it.
It's interesting because Capulo, I think we're showing two artists that are so different because Capulo isn't really that stylistic.
No, and especially he really ground down his edges as he went along. I mean, this stuff is so finely tuned. And I mean, like, look at the cross hatching in that hand, like,
Yeah.
dude, his
Yeah.
stuff is really good
Yeah,
and fine,
it's great. It's just not like super stylistic.
No, it isn't, and I mean, like I said, it's kind of got that, like, at this point, he's got a really sort of like mix of like what he was trying to do originally, which is that kind of Jim Lee kind of thing or whatever, but he's pushed it more towards like like what Todd McFarlane was doing. Like he's just sort of melded what he was doing over on Spawn, you know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
half what like that East Coast Todd McFarlane thing and half the West Coast Jim Lee kind of thing, like put together, because he's got cross hatching, but he doesn't use quite the way like someone like Jim Lee or Wells Portatio uses it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
He's much
was a
more
cool panel.
spare. He's like his
Yeah.
stuff is much more illustratory or whatever. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Definitely.
you know, some of the stuff is brilliant, and the storytelling is
Yeah.
really great too. This is like a
Yeah.
gang of like Russian freaking gangsters or whatever, and they all have
Oh
to
yeah.
like they wear these
Yeah.
they all have to wear these like masks over their face for 1 year to like prove how loyal they are, and they have to
No,
have
that's
all their
cool.
food like given to them intravenously or whatever, you know what I
Huh.
mean? And all their liquids and everything have to be given
Yeah.
intravenously, and it's a way to show like that your boss will always be there for you, but it's a way to show that you're utterly and totally devoted to your boss too, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, do
He's,
you know if
he's talking about all that.
Does Greg Capullo have any of his own characters and stuff?
He created this thing called the Creech. Do you remember the Creech?
The Creech?
Yeah, it was
No.
like it's for Image, and I
Yeah.
don't think I mean I definitely have like the first issue, but
Huh.
he's just kind of like it's sort of I guess if you like it says cool right here like this is the first owls or whatever like it's
Yeah.
family portrait but it's kind of like he's a cross between like I guess like the Hulk and Cthulhu or something like that, you know what I mean?
Huh.
He's like a big Hulk, like, or maybe if you cross like, the 10th and Cthulhu or so. I guess the 10th is just another version of the Hulk or whatever. But it's that kind of story
Right.
where it's like a monster, it's being made in a lab and it breaks loose, but it's a good guy, like.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, and this is really beautiful stuff. And I mean, he's
Yeah.
such a great artist. He does
Yeah.
just gorgeous work. But yeah, just a quick glance at Greg Capullo and some of the cool stuff that he did. Why don't we go ahead and crack open?
I like the coloring. I like the coloring in this a lot more than the Spawn stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
Way
totally different.
way
Yeah,
more.
DC doing their thing. They're really
Yeah.
great storytellers, and Batman is one of the most important properties. And I feel like they have probably a house vibe that they always go for. I really loved this. Like this is a flashback sequence, and you can see he
Yeah.
totally changes his style up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always think that's cool. Like whenever you do the flashback sequence, and then they completely change up the style. You know what I mean? Because it really gives you that sense of being in a different place and a different time, than
Yeah.
the actual
Oh yeah.
story points that you're in.
Yeah. 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 That
I thought,
is the lighting is awesome, and it's like his artwork and his pencils that the lighting is great because of the coloring, but it's also like a composite of both the inking and the pencil and the coloring, which is really awesome.
it really is, and he just, I mean, he just knows
Look at
where to
that. That's
put it.
awesome.
Yeah, he just knows where to put it all on the page. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he just, like any great artist, like it's hard to know when to pull back and when to go forward and stuff. And this part right here is crazy because, like at this point in the story, right? He's been being defeated. He's lost under the city. They have him trapped in this maze. They've given him drugs that are like making him hallucinate. You know what I mean? He's questioning his reality and stuff. And the trick they did at this point in the book, right, was
Yeah.
like they reversed everything, right? So it starts like running backwards all of a sudden. Like it's hard to explain, but when you're reading it, you know what I mean? Like everything starts to switch up and like start go backwards on itself. And
Huh.
that's why like all the panels start being,
Yeah.
turned up on its side or whatever, because
Yeah.
it's in the maze and he's so lost and confused. And then like
Oh yeah.
see how like, dude, it's so
Yeah. It's
weird,
upside
man.
down.
Like, and then it's like back again, like
That's cool.
yeah, man, it's like trippy as heck, dude. Like I was reading it and I remember being like, I'm getting lost. I was like, which direction am I
Yeah.
going? Like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, okay, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
So
So
very
you're
cool, man. Yeah,
from
because see
here
how it's
on out,
backwards now, right?
to switch
But
back.
you're still going
Yeah.
this way, right? But then you have to flip it again,
Yeah.
like once you're back on it, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like, because these guys are back in reality, I mean? They're on Gotham, everything's
Right.
normal there, you know what I mean? But where Batman's at, everything is upside down, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's pretty cool though, right? It's pretty
Yeah.
confusing, but it
Yeah.
is very cool.
It's very cool.
So why don't we look at some Max now, or not some Max, but some
Yeah, I was looking this. I've never. I don't think I've read actually any of these. Um, but I was looking at this cover in particular because he doesn't do the interiors for it. But it's awesome because it's like it's Cable and Ghost Rider, and like it's got the cover, and then it's got like bullet holes where the comic book is, and that's the first page is that stuff. So I don't know if yeah, it must just be like a cutout here, and then Sam Keith did this um, interior stuff. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's a trip. Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But like I said, it's kind of amazing that he almost well he started out in Sandman and he had this style and where he was trying I think he was trying to do like you said he was trying to be Bernie Wrightson and that's just not him. And I think eventually or slowly, like kind of like Capul or whatever, I think he was because he has a quote of saying that when he started doing Sandman, he left because he was in the wrong band. And he was like, I know that it's a fantastic comic book, and it's an amazing comic book, but he just wasn't the right person, the right fit for it. And because I think he has the soul or heart of a superhero guy, and Sandman just isn't superhero stuff, which is very odd because if his biggest influence is Bernie Wrightson, then you would think he would be more into the Sandman.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. It's like it's funny that he says that because I would say Sandman is like definitely one of the better things he ever did. You know what I mean? Like he felt way more appropriate at Sandman than he did at Wolverine. Like to
You
me,
think so?
anyways. I mean,
Well,
his style was very It's because Sandman is full of creatures and characters. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And his style is kind of leans in that variation. It's his
yeah,
style is
yeah,
very cartoony. It's very cartoon driven. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
sure he'll give you some like he gives you like all this like what we'll call pseudo. You know what I mean? Like highly realistic sort of like well I mean at times he does these like
yeah,
like say like these eyes. You know what I mean? Like these
yeah,
eyes are
yeah,
very rendered and they're very pseudo or whatever, but they're attached to so many
yeah, yeah. Then
different
he goes,
kind of textures, yeah, that
yeah,
really make it such a cartoon. You don't even never I never think about it in terms of him like being highly realistic or anything like that. That's not realistic. You know what I mean? These are
right, right,
cartoons.
yeah. I would say his strengths lie in his hatching, cross hatching, whatever you want to call it. Um,
Well,
like
he's an
the
amazing
details.
storyteller.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying that his strengths in his illustration quality, like I mean, just look at the crowd, the hatching and cross hatching on that, especially like check out Wolverine's arm. Whenever Wolverine's arm is in the page, it's like just crazy hatching. I don't even know if you would call it hatching, cross
It's
hatching,
not even hatching, dude. That's just
stippling.
like his hair, his
No,
arm hair game or whatever, man. He's
yeah, it's
craziest, braddest arm hair game ever. You know what I mean? Like,
right, right. Well, just his whole shading style is completely different and unusual. Like it's a combination of stippling, hatching, cross hatching, and I don't know, just putting weird marks on the page. But I
I
think
know, man. He's so stylish, but
yeah,
it does always call back to that Bernie Wrightson thing.
it does, and probably again Frank Frazetta. He's probably checking out the figures of Frank Frazetta. But I think
Oh, for
his
sure.
that leads into the other thing that I think he's really strong in is his figure work. It's
Look
not
at that right
that
there. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
It's not that stick or anything like that. It's that they're unusual. They're different. They're a different style. Like check out the
yeah,
shading
it's
on
just
Wolverine's arm
stylized.
here.
That's all you can say. Willie Draws says that Sam Keith drew a few issues of adolescent black belt hamsters.
Oh, did he?
That's what he's
Huh.
saying.
I'll
Yeah,
have to check those out.
I believe it.
That's
I mean, I can believe it.
that's that's one book that I never got that I'm looking for a copy to review.
I've never like I never got into the animal the anim what is it
Yeah,
anamorphic animals or
yeah,
whatever like
yeah,
that
yeah,
was never my thing. But
yeah,
I have to say, like, I personally, like, honestly, I didn't even buy this book. Like, my wife at the time, when you collected
yeah.
comics with me before she passed away, and these were all ones that she wanted. I just bought them because she wanted them or whatever. So I have them
Oh
all,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think I've ever read them, or
Oh
I
yeah,
was not really a very big fan of any of this stuff. You know what I mean at the time, because it's just way
yeah,
too. It doesn't look like Mark Silvestri, doesn't look like Jim Lee, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's just
No,
way
no.
too like,
So,
yeah, in
so
that
did
cartoony
you
place.
watch the show? Did you watch the
I
Max
was
show?
aware of it. I definitely was aware of it, but
Yeah, but you never
I can't
watched
say
it.
that I really watched it, you know what I mean? Like I might have
I
seen
never
one or
watched it
two,
either.
like episodes on MTV or whatever back in the day when it was on, because it wasn't really a show. It's just little like 6-minute shorts or something like that. You know what I mean? Or like it's kind of like was like
Yeah,
Aeon Flux. It wasn't like a genuine TV show. They were just like 8 minutes here and 8 minutes there or whatever. Like in between
right, right.
commercials, you get a little thing of Aeon Flex or Flux or whatever, or like a little thing of this. So I mean, it presented itself as telling a actual story, and it did, I guess. You know what I mean? But like not like a season of TV or something like that or anything.
So, so this is odd. Um, I think the whole issue is done by Sam Keith, but um, assist by Tim Vigil. Sam Keith
Oh
is the
wow!
artist, so he must have done some of the inking. Um, so I guess this whole issue, that because it's a 100th issue, is all Sam Keith and different inks. Because I was looking at it and I'm like, this does not look like Sam Keith's inking. Like this whole thing here, that's not his inking.
Right? Yeah, you could just
This
look at
this
that
is
and see it's totally
yeah.
different set of ticks or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally like cross hatching and stuff like that. So it's unusual to see what we
I
think
mean,
could be him.
like, dude, talk
What
about
is
the
it?
like, the arm hair game. Like, look at that on like on the Max's
Yeah,
shoulder right there. You know what I
yeah,
mean, dude?
yeah,
Just like outrageous. Like, dude, I mean, there's probably there's at least 4 or maybe even 6 hours worth of, you know what I mean? Probably
oh yeah,
inking
oh yeah,
right there
yeah,
in that little spot, like
oh yeah, definitely.
probably close, close. Because it's not solid black, you know what I mean? Like it is fading out
No,
and fading out and fading out. So he's cross hatching all that, you know what I mean? Getting darker and darker as he goes
right,
along.
right. But it's also some stippling and some
Uh-huh.
hatching, and
Yeah, dude. Like in just like hours of it, and it's there, and
I'm thinking
it's there.
I'm thinking maybe he's looking at some Mobius stuff too, because it looks a little French. It looks a little European.
Oh, it definitely does. But see, I think of that anytime like someone's very stylistic, and it's always like the European guys is the first place I go to or whatever, because it just seems like
Yeah, yeah. But here's a page that's definitely not inked by him. He's got big bold inking. It's funny because he also has he's got that like little noodly shading thing that he does, but he also has big bold lines surrounding a lot of his figures.
yeah, it's utterly unique, dude. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
is utterly
yeah,
unique, really. I
yeah.
mean, there's
And
really not. There's nobody to
yeah,
compare him to hardly. You know what I
no,
mean? Like,
no, there isn't. And I don't know if I feel like some of his stuff I don't feel like is in proportion, but it
that's what I
works.
mean when I say cartooning. You know what I mean? Because like,
Yeah,
look at this guy. You know what I mean? He's not. I mean, look at that face, dude. That's you know
yeah,
what I mean. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
straight up. That's
Definitely
very. I
cartoony.
mean, it's cartoon. I mean, like that's not
Yeah,
what people really look like, but it is
yeah,
the impression of a real person with real features, and everything is in the right places. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's a great looking person. It's a great looking cartoon, but it's
Yeah,
not. Any kind of like a photorealistic, approach. And, all these characters have great movement and fluid feeling, very live looking feels, to the
yeah,
things that they're doing and the way they're moving around and stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's still very cartoony, you know what I mean? Like,
Also, his panel orientation is out there too. Like
it is,
he's
dude.
not
It's
doing
wild. I
He's
mean,
not
look at
doing
this
five,
one.
6 panels.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this page. And
Yeah,
over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. And they're not like, they're not evenly spaced or anything. There's definitely
uh-uh.
different stuff going on.
Yeah. And I don't think they're Xeroxes either. You know what I mean? Like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because
yeah,
they'll
yep,
Xerox the same thing and then just add they'll draw a detail different in each one or whatever, to
right,
give you
right,
the thing.
right.
I think each of
Yeah,
these is drawn, like, because they're all slightly different or whatever. Each one is like a slightly different angle, you know what I mean? But still drawing the exact same thing. That's like a
yep.
Jeff Darrow kind of thing almost. You know what I mean? That's like Jeff Darrow. That's
So
kind of funny. Like he's going like she's sitting down, but he's still got a complete full shot of her butt somehow. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like she's sitting
yeah.
in a chair, but somehow like the entire butt is still drawn. It's pretty funny.
That's cool, Wiley. We'd like to definitely check it out. Um, Here's more stuff of him not inking his work. I wonder how tight his pencils are. Do you think his all of his digging and stuff on his Wolverine arms are on the pencils? I think he does that in just in the inks.
Well, I mean, I think it would probably depend on what kind of medium he's working in. Like, like obviously if he's probably inking himself, he's probably not doing pencils like that. But if he's someone else is inking him, that is a gorgeous page. Someone else is inking him, he probably is, you know what I mean? But in these, I know that he did everything himself. So it's probably, like, Sam Keith, yes, pencils and inks, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Dialogue by
yeah,
Bill Mesner, finishes by Jim St. Clair. So I wonder what that means, because Steve Olive is doing the colors. I guess someone must be doing touch ups to maybe cleaning up his, his finishes or something. You know what I mean? Like going through and
yeah,
maybe digitally cleaning all the pencils or something like that once, because it's hard to get everything erased. You know what I mean? Once you've inked or whatever to get the pages
yeah,
really
yeah.
clean. So it could be
Wiley,
something
yeah,
like that.
he probably knows that artist and drew inspiration from him.
I was gonna say it could probably. I bet it's someone from heavy metal, right? Is it someone from heavy metal? Because there was
Could be.
like, Sam Keith definitely got a lot of his style from heavy metal, like in the artists of heavy metal.
Yeah, and Richard Corbin.
Corbin,
I mean, this
absolutely.
stippling kind of stuff.
Von Baudet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure,
So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. But that's those two guys in a nutshell, man. Two great artists,
Yeah.
just really
Yep.
doing amazing work.
Definitely.
The vote, everybody it's all for fun. We're just talking about the
Yeah.
guys we love and
Yep.
just seeing who weighs in and who, is a little bit better than the other and the opinions of the fans who love them so much. And everybody be sure to, tune in today. Please go over to the website and vote for who you thought was better so we can continue with our artist countdown of all the rad artists from the 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s and
Good.
2000s and so forth because we
Yeah.
love them
Yeah.
all, man.
All the
They're all
artists,
so good.
every artist.
All the artists, yeah.
We're gonna do every single artist.
You know
The
what I'm
last
thinking? Maybe the next one,
what?
even though these two guys are both so good, I feel like they have to go on regardless of who loses. But I was thinking maybe Jay Lee and Mike Mignola. Yeah, because they're
That
both
would be a good
similar,
one. Those would be good ones. Yeah, it's so hard because you're right. Yeah, you have two awesome artists, and one goes on and one doesn't. So it's really difficult. That's why I don't really want to have Walter Simonson on here because he won't. If he doesn't go on, I'll be very sad.
Yeah, it's like when we do Walter Simonson, it's got to be somebody good. It's got to be like John Buscema and Walter Simonson, or Walter
Yeah,
Simonson, and
yeah.
you know what I mean. It has to be like
Oh man.
John Byrne and Walter Simonson, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So last week there's more likes for Dale Keown. He pretty much crushed McGuire.
That's
So Keown's going on.
that's a little bit, I mean, I guess not. They're both really good, and Del Keown just, the pit, man. People went wild for that thing when it came out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Good for him.
Yep, yep, yep.
Keown's always
They're
been a
both great.
master.
So
Yeah. So
yep,
we do this stuff because we love comic book guys and we love hanging out with comic book guys. So we appreciate everybody that comes and hangs out with us. We love comic book creators because that's what we are, because we love the medium. And we just do this because, we just love sharing time with people who also love this. And it's just fun to come together and talk about comics and look at the great art. And, when I'm drawing, I like to listen to people blabber on about comics. So when I run out of shows, I always have our show to go back on and listen to. And that's always fun. And I am a
Yeah.
comic book creator, and I'm the creator of Six Lords of Sound. And this is like, you know consummate comic book. Like, I worked so hard on this book. Like, the level of detail that you see on every single page, there's like so much love and so much time put into this stuff, because like it was my first
You
comic.
can tell.
And I just wanted to really unleash something that people would experience, like, and feel like they did back in the day when they opened that first episode of Spawn, or when they got their hands on Savage Dragon for that first time, or just like, whoa, like someone besides DC and Image Comics could do this kind of thing. Because normally, this kind of stuff is not really approached by underground guys too much. You know what I mean? Most of the time,
Yeah.
it's becoming more and more popular. You're starting to see it more and more again. Like the dudes our age are busting out their old characters from back in the day and doing a book about them. And I couldn't be
Oh
happier.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I love that stuff. The classic superhero stuff, but it's got a heavy metal spin on it. Sort of like, when I was a kid, Kiss was so popular, and they were almost like real superheroes because you didn't know they had
Yeah.
secret identities. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah.
they like changed into these like magical characters, and they just rocked the stage and then disappeared again. You know what I mean? Like, and so like this
Yeah.
has got a lot of that kind of love put in. Sort of like, what if something like that was real? What if there was real superheroes that were rock stars from space? You know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
battle like
Yeah.
a plague of things that swallow sound and enslave intelligent races. And it's a lot of fun. And I had so much fun
Yeah.
doing it. And there are going to be more of these in the future. But at the current time, me, Alex, and I are working on a project together, as well as Alex is always very busy working on all of his own projects. So you'll see more of this in the future. But man, I'm so proud of Six Lords of Sound. And Alex was the
It's
publisher
amazing.
for me. And I was so grateful to finally, meet someone that could help me get my work published. So if you're a comic book creator and you'd like to get your work published, I would definitely recommend you direct messaging Alex or getting a hold of him through YouTube or any of the different ways that he's available to get hold of. And maybe talk to him about getting some issues of your book published, because he's very good at publishing, he's very good at printing, and he's really a cool dude to work with. And just want to say
Oh,
thank you to
thank you.
Alex for getting my book published, and just show you guys a quick look of what I do and what I'm working on. And now let's take a look at some of your stuff real quick, Alex.
Yep, it's definitely, printing is fun. I love it. It's part of the process. I love pretty much every part of the comic book making process. But this is Random Access. It's a comic book that I make every month. It's up to issue 29, and this is actually volume 2. So there's 12 issues of volume 1, and so then I rebooted it in this is 29. So it's been going on for quite a while now. And these are all the issues of Cyrene, because Random Access is pretty much exactly what it says, where it's 3 different storylines. I have Cyrene, Queller, and then some random thing. It might be Death Knights or Cymborgs or some kind of weird stuff. So I'm up to 100 pages of Cyrene, and I'm going to be printing issue 3 of her own issue of her own comics.
I'm just gonna keep
And
harassing you until you put all those together into like a 250-page omnibuses, man. You're so dude. That's a great accomplishment.
well,
100 pages, man. That's awesome, Alex. That's awesome.
yeah,
You got it.
yeah. It's actually 102 pages because issue 1 has 12 pages. But I am going to try to do that. It's difficult because it takes so much time to print 100 pages, because the way you have to put it in and then you have to flip it and then put it in again. So it kind of takes a while, but I'm learning how to do double page printing. So once I do that, I can just, hit the button and let it print and do
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff,
Dude, well,
which
the
would
more
be
you
really
do it,
cool.
the better you're gonna get at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
super
definitely.
cool. Like, and I'm just saying, that's an accomplishment worth applauding. So you should be very proud of that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com. And or you could just message me, alexturbin0441 at Yahoo, or alexturbin04401 at Instagram. And yeah, if anybody's looking to print their comics, I'm always up for it, and pretty affordable, I think, more affordable than Comic Wellspring or whatever. And I can do like 25 issues, where if you get 25 issues from a comic from Comic Wellspring, it's going to be, $10 an issue.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, your stuff is very reasonable and it's pretty comparable too. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I definitely
yeah,
would definitely recommend to anybody who's on the post, or just like, maybe you just want to do an ash can early version or something. Maybe you have bigger
right.
aspirations to do something later on, but you just want to see it in print. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Definitely. Are you, maybe you're gonna go to a convention and you would like to have a comic book, of your work to share with people, and you need something fast. Alex is really good at all that stuff. So, you
Yeah,
guys definitely give him a call.
yeah,
So that wraps it up for this episode. We're super stoked. Anybody that came and hung out with us, everybody that watched in, we really appreciate that so much. Like, follow, and subscribe to Alex's channel. Watch to the end because it helps us push this through the algorithm to other comic book minded creators and watchers. And go ahead and tell them what you tell them at the end of all of our shows, Alex.
yeah. Again, thanks for watching, and leave a comment, because we love talking to all comic book people and their comments, and we evaluate. Go vote for who you like more, Sam Keith or Greg Capullo. They're both awesome, but if you like one more than the other, that's awesome. And like always, like Joe says, we always leave it on. Keep on creating.